Hello.
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 Hi.
Hello. Awesome. So, it's fitting that we started by all saying hello and communicating together because our theme today is communication energy. And it is the thing that um, we tapped on last week, but now we're going to go more into depth with exploring communication energy. I'm going to start by checking in with you all and asking for, and this can be for new trainees or alumni, how would you describe communication energy, just based on what we've explored so far, what you're aware of? How would you describe it? Anyone, you can raise your hands. Carol.
Here we go. I guess I would describe communication energy as the essence of you. And the way that you, that thing that you, I saw you like half a block down the street. It might be the way that you move. It might be the way that you project your enthusiasm or your lack of enthusiasm. But basically, there's an essential part of you that's your communication energy.
Essence is the word that Carol used.
Yeah.
Great. Who else? What are some other ways that you might describe communication energy? Donna.
That's fine. Am I? Oh, okay. Yeah, what Carol said, the essence, but then I think of the people that I meet where sometimes their body language or emotions don't match their words. So there can be like a disconnect sometimes. Sometimes it matches. Like you're energetic, your body, you, Marnie, and your body moves too. Your voice is energetic. But for some people, and I'm not saying that they're lying, but you get this sense like, are you sure you believe that?
Mm-hmm.
So there's something that kind of inner and outer of that essence.
An inner and outer essence. Anybody else have a thought about communication energy? Excuse me. Diana.
I think it has to do with how you feel in the presence of another person or group of people. It's not always, for instance, I've been thinking about communication energy a lot this week. And I have a general feeling about what mine is, which is open and understanding and kind, I believe. But there are times when that doesn't come through. So it really depends on how I'm feeling in the moment when I'm in conversation with another person or a group of people. So I think feelings play a big role in your communication energy.
Great point. Anyone else? How would you describe communication energy, or something to add here to this kickoff discussion? Donna, something else?
Yeah, I just wanted to add then after that, then it's like a trust, because you're right. You have your communication energy, but if you're in a situation maybe where you feel comfortable versus to some place where you, not even scary, but if you're at a party and you don't know anyone or you don't like certain people, you're going to come across differently, even though that's not, like she was saying, not who you are. Or in general, who you are. So a trust, I think, is with the other people. So between the inner and outer, there's also the connection or lack of with others. It's coming out.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think communication and sorry, I muted myself. Wendy.
Yes. Well, I was just going to say, for me, uh, all I can relate it to is how I use it, and that would be like, let's say you've got whatever's going on with you, you contact the friend that you know has that energy that you're looking for. So it's something that is going to fill you the way that you need to be filled. So you're looking for somebody that's strong and you know, decisive, and so you call that friend. Or you're going, no, I really need them to hear me and listen, you call that friend. And so so that's the only way I can relate to your question.
That we're aware of how we feel and that part of our own awareness of others' communication energy motivates perhaps our choices or yeah. Any other ways that you would describe communication energy? I'm going to go through some points, but you all know I like to start with you first before adding the overlay. Anyone else want to share how you would explain or define, how would you explain what communication energy is? Ganelle.
Zara's trying to say something.
Oh, she is. Okay, let me call Ganelle first. Where's Zara? She's not showing up on my screen. She's frozen for some reason. Ganelle, go ahead, and then I'll get Zara after that. Thank you, Karen.
Okay, mine's real quick, and it's weird. Zara is not frozen on my screen, so something's different. I like the words energy and I like the words essence, so I'm going to say communication energy is the verve of the essence. So it's the ripples on the airwaves that touch us physically and in the imaginal realm.
I love it. Yes. Awesome. Awesome. The little ripples. Fantastic. Zara.
I guess it's got a lot to do with my values and morals and how I my deep beliefs, I guess, is how where I communicate from. So mine, you know, is very much about passion and love and joy and adventure, because that's my kind of philosophy on life and what I want to create in life. So that's kind of the way that I dance in. That's the way the energy I play in.
Cool. So what I'm going to do, because my connection is being a little weird, I'm going to connect back in. And while I do that, I invite you all to think of 4 people in your life that you generally spend a good amount of time with. Of course, you may not have spent a lot of time with them here in these past couple of months, but 4 people with whom you've spent or do spend a good amount of time. And then I invite you to draw 5 sketches of your, including the communication energy of those 4 people and also yourself. Just what comes to mind if you were going to sketch the communication energy of those 4 people and yourself. This is an intuitive exercise. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You think, all right, I'm going to think of my partner. Here's his or her communication energy, and just draw it. And I'm going to reconnect, so I'll let you do that and I'll be right back. Sound good? If you need one more minute to feel like you're bringing this to a close, raise your hand if you could use one more minute. All right, let's do one more minute to bring these quick little sketches or doodles, bring them in. So if you're just coming on, what we've just been doing is drawing a sketch of 4 to 5 or 4 people that you know and yourself, and drawing 5 sketches of their communication energy. So when you think of these 4 people with whom you spend a good amount of time, drawing or sketching their communication energy as well as your own. And we're just going to take a few more seconds to wrap that up. All right, and let's hear from just a couple of you. What did you see? What did you notice? Or what are you aware of as just from this quick exercise of drawing or sketching the communication energy of 4 people and yourselves? Raise your hand. My transmission is actually, you guys are very frozen. Am I okay? I'm all right? Okay. Sorry. So yeah, so this is a good way to raise your hand. If you go to the participant list panel, there's a button to raise your hand, and that seems to be coming up for me better than your actual faces. Wendy Fadan, what did you notice from doing this?
This is a really fun exercise. I ended up using colored pencils. I just drew little silhouettes of people, kind of shapes, and I use, since I'm here with my my husband and kids, I basically drew both of my kids, my daughter Rose, my son Jack, and my husband David. And then for the 4th person, I did my mom. It was just, and then this is me here. What was fun about this exercise for me was thinking of it in colors rather than illustrations. Was I can see, like, I didn't even think of it this way, I swear, but it made me think. It shows the traits of each person. Like my daughter does have traits of her dad, and so I had some of the green in there with her, but she's also a very calming. So I used calming colors for her and some little pink for this loving energy that she has, the sweetness energy. That's what the pink is for. And then cool, calming aqua colors for that calming feeling that I feel when I'm with her. And then my son Jack, he's just very energetic and kind of wild. So I did, he's got lots of bright colors all around him. My husband, he's more like, very, calm and cool, maybe a little bit of browns, because, he can have some negative stuff going on. My mom, is all like, pink, and a lot of pink with that loving energy, and then that calmness, adding the aqua in. And then for me, I had a lot of I tried to have mostly the loving energy and the calmness, but I had to also put some of those sparks that I have in my son. I've got some of his energy going on. It's just not as wild as his. So that was really fun. I just had to share.
Cool. Oh, that's awesome. And I love the essence of colors. Colors are great because colors inherently have feelings, right? Or, I mean, that we feel, we look at a color, we have a different feeling. And that is such a great parallel to how we experience communication energy. It's that kind of feeling. It's a feeling of, oh, I'm in a room that is all pink versus I'm in a room that is all green, or I'm in a room that is all black. We feel differently, and that's very similar to how we perceive communication energy. I want to hear from one other person. Kelly, let's go to you, and would love to hear what you had to share.
So I use lines. This is my husband. He's an engineer. His communication is very direct. It's just, here's what I need to know, and then mine. But I want to. My big learning was I picked two people that I really feel I think they have a good communication energy. I think they have good communication skills. And I'm like, whoo, what are they doing? And then what am I doing that's different from what they're doing? And what can I learn from them? Is this something that I can work on and get a little bit better at? So I got really curious about what they're doing that maybe I'm not, because I would rather, I really, when I'm communicating with them, I feel very listened to, very validated, very connected. So I want more of this when I'm connecting with, or when I'm trying to connect with other people.
Awesome.
Now I'm curious.
Yeah. That is definitely the point here, is being curious. So that's actually a perfect segue. Let's see. Let me just get back. Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over a few things that I would like to share about communication energy, and invite you to take your notes, your sketches, your pictures, however you like. And then after that, we're actually going to do some experimenting and play with communication energy a little bit. So as we're moving into, this is the kind of the content portion. If you like, remember you can toggle your Zoom screen to be on speaker view, or you can have everybody on gallery. It's totally up to you. So communication energy, I've mentioned it before. I assume you've watched the video or re-watched the video about it. And then there have been some wonderful words that have come forward about it today. It is, by definition, difficult to define or describe. It is an intangible. It's the thing we can't touch. It's the thing that we can't really put words. We can try, and it can be helpful to identify, but it's not something that is really conveyed in words. And so it's wonderful puzzle to find what those words are. Communication energy, I see as the way that people communicate that isn't detected in, that is detected outside of the five senses. It's something else. It's something that we detect in a way beyond just what we're picking up with our what's generally considered our system of senses. The energy of communication is existing all the time. It's always there. And our energy often communicates first before our words do. And that's that experience of when someone walks in a room and before they even say a word, you are affected by them. Or you're talking with a group of people and somebody comes and joins that group that you've never met before, you feel something different. You hop on a call like this one or a virtual gathering and you're immediately, you feel before somebody says anything, you feel something there. That is this communication energy. And as I've shared, I started exploring this and adding it into the picture of how coaches and clients and students and teachers, how we all kind of navigate in this wonderful world of ours. For me, it really came when I heard my father talk about how he experienced my sister and I differently in his body. And that's what happens, whether we're aware of it or not, we are experiencing different people's energy in our bodies. And when we're not aware of it, sometimes it will show up in other ways. You know, we may not be aware of a clash of communication energy or something that is not something that we're, that our communication energy is perhaps not harmonious with someone else's. We may not be aware of it, but then that might manifest in other ways. It's that, you know, that feeling of paying attention to when you spend time with someone, do you feel better or do you feel, you know, worse? Or do you use your energy added or is it depleted? It's just, there's this unexplainable energy that's moving. So here's where I'd like to explain what I think of as the difference between communication energy and communication energy identity. So my thought, and again, as always, take this and you know, do with it what is helpful to you. My thought is that communication energy identity is who we are, and that it does not change. That our communication energy identity is who we really are. It's who we, for all of us, who we really are when we're not trying to be something else, or when we're not in a situation that is making our very essence change. Communication energy itself is an energy that changes, as others have pointed out. Communication energy changes with moods and thoughts and situations and feelings, and you know, the recipe of interaction with you know, with other people. It changes on how we're feeling and how the other person's feeling and how that mixes together. Communication energy is active all the time and it changes. Our communication energy identity does not change. It's who we really, really are. Somebody once asked me, well, can communication energy identity ever change? Well, sure. You know, we as people change. You know, maybe we've gone through a period of time where we've gone through a transformation, and so kind of who we are, and maybe it's our, you know, our confidence, our assertiveness, our authenticity. Maybe those things have shifted as part of our transformation. And our communication energy identity may change because of that. So it's not that it can never change. However, the thing that I would like to convey here is the communication energy identity. It's that thing that you just are. And so where we want to look at is not trying to be something else, but try to be our very best us. And that is what I think is the helpful goal, or the helpful journey here, is how can we communicate as ourselves, really matching our identity and keeping our identity consistent regardless of who else is around or what else we're doing. So I mentioned that the senses, the regular sort of see, hear, smell, taste, touch senses don't pick up, don't detect communication energy. What's the sense then? What does pick up on communication energy? It's hard to see hands because my transmission is icky. Someone unmute yourself and just say what you think.
It transmits on our heartstrings that
Ooh,
interconnect.
I love it. It transmits on our heartstrings. I was going to say intuition, but I like Ganelle's answer much better. It transmits on our heartstrings. Yes, it's that we have a sense. We could call it intuition. We can call our heartstrings. We can call it anything we want. We do have a sense that processes and interprets communication energy. And whatever that sense is, which I think is deeply related to our gut feeling, our vibes, our vibration, our knowing, our hunches that we can't explain, such as intuition. You know, I think another reason we talked last week about why cultivate intuition, why make that stronger? Why get quiet more to listen more deeply? Why pay attention? Why strengthen that muscle? And communication energy is one of the answers to that why. When we are cultivating and strengthening intuition, that increases our self-awareness, and that helps us be able to monitor and sense and identify and interpret communication energy more deeply, and also be very in tune with ourselves in terms of kind of matching ourself to that pitchfork of when we're right sunk in our true self and when we're a little bit off. Either way. So that's the difference between communication energy identity and communication energy. Communication energy is just like this force field. It's just, woo, it's always going on. Communication energy identity is something that does not change. And when we can identify that with words or colors or an image, that can be very helpful. It can be like a really solid anchor. It comes back to, you know, this place where we can say, this is who I am. And when we know this is who I am, it's a lot easier to know when this is who I'm not. It's a lot easier to know. And a lot of times we feel like kind of uncomfortable, or we feel out of sorts, or we have a stomach ache, or, you know, a lot of times when we're feeling off, it's very often because we're not in that seated and embraced and held by this is who I truly am. So a communication energy identity statement, which is something that you're going to be playing with this week, it's like a barometer for authenticity. And it's, who am I really? Who am I really? And am I showing up in this way right now? This is something to be explored with curiosity, as Kelly was saying. It's a curiosity inquiry. It's not a judgment or self-criticism inquiry, but it is something that is a clue, a cue to help us show up in our greatest, truest selves. When we know what this is, then not only can we be our best at that, it just makes everything easier, especially, and we're going to be moving into talking about, you know, building your practice, building your business. creating and building something that in which you're creating and building, sometimes from scratch, a network, a circle, people, it's a lot easier when you know what that true communication identity is, because you can really come back to it because you're being really 100% undiluted you. Of course, every communication energy, this is the, if we have an identity, a communication energy identity, it's not like there's a perfect one. Like, I'll pick that one because it's really the best. No, they all have, just as we talked about last week, how we all have things that kind of pull us out of our best communication. And there are, our communication energy identity is going to have things that are barriers, or are like pitfalls, or things that may pull us back. So for example, intense communication energies may need to make some extra effort to pace themselves, to pause, to allow space for another person or other people. So that's something I am aware of. I'm an intense communication energy. And so I'm aware that my intense and alive communication energy is at its best when I'm also mindful of some pacing and some pausing and some space for connection. That doesn't mean I'm changing and not being my true self. It means that I'm allowing my true energy to be better supported. It's going to be experienced better, yes, by other people, but really by me. I mean, communication energy and finally tuning and attuning to our communication energy is really mostly about feeling better ourselves. Yes, we can be aware of how we come across to other people and we can make adjustments. But it's really about feeling that sinking, this is who I am. Because that's what allows us to be the great coach, the great leader, the great facilitator. It also is what allows us to do this kind of work in a sustained way. Sustained way. I've been doing this work playing in our Teleland for 20 years. If I had to point to one thing that I think has allowed staying power, it's because I have showed up and have made efforts to show up as me. And there is a sustainability that allows for that, because it's easy to get burnt out when we're trying to be something that we're not. So I made an example about intense energies need to sort of just create some practices to allow some pause, allow some space. Gentle energies, on the other hand, may need to make some adjustments to consciously create connection points, eye contact, just consciously being aware of connecting. Again, it's not changing who we are, it's amplifying who we are. So knowing our communication energy identity is really helpful in coaching, because then we can really sink into it. And we can know, okay, what might get in the way of really clean and clear communication with clients, make adjustments, but we're not adjusting who we are. Remember back in communication last week when we talked about, and we said our two most important hint mints, were listening when you communicate and communicate when you listen. And communication energy is like the container for both of those. The communication energy statement, or communication identity energy, this is important. It's yours. You get to choose it. And we're going to step into an exercise now where we're going to have some input from other people. That can be interesting and helpful. And I mean, it's really cool. It's really neat to see, how do others feel your communication energy? Obviously, this is just one moment in time, it's just, this is an experiment. There's nothing definitive here. But even if I was to, perfectly construct this amazing experience where, you and we're going to be, observed by 10 very astute communication energy experts, and they would observe you for 36 hours in your natural habitat, and they would come up with what their communication energy statement for you is. They wouldn't be right. You're always going to be the one that is naming this. Okay, input is helpful. You can think, oh, I've never even experienced myself that way. I've heard other people say that about me. That's so interesting. That's so curious to me. It's helpful, but you get to be right here. And so that's important. That's important. So before we launch into this little game and experiment, let me just check in and see who has any thoughts just thoughts or reactions or reflections about anything that I just said with these points about communication energy. Anyone? Might be easiest to raise and lower your hand in the participants panel. Awesome. Karen. Let me find you. Karen. Looks like you need to unmute on your end. There you go. Karen, I was just hearing a beep. Were you as well? Are you, Ganelle, were you just hearing some feedback when, yeah, okay. Karen, I'm going to unmute you again. We were just getting some feedback. There we go. That's better. Karen, you're unmuted now, and I think we fixed the issue.
So many places that we have to change the speaker. I was just trying to use something that was more comfortable for my brace. Well, I think the communication energy that you were talking about is really interesting to me because I feel like I do have something that I am all the time. But because I deal with other people, there's that whole thing about the other person and sensing what they might need at that time. And that doesn't change who I am, but it changes who I be at that time. Mm-hmm. And so I think just to be aware of who you are all the time is very comfortable because you know it's always there. But you also know that if you're dealing with clients, they also have the same thing going on, which is they have a communication energy all the time, but you might be talking to them while they're in crisis, while these other things are happening. So maybe you have to be a little bit different that time and just be aware that that's not fakey. That's not that you're not being authentic.
Absolutely, I would agree with that 100%. I would agree with that for 100%. That we have that thing that we are all the time. And as Barb has mentioned in the chat, usually it's the thing that we were 3 years, 30 years, and always. Usually our communication energy, the thing that we are all the time, is always there. However, when people have really asked me, well, can our communication energy identity ever change? Yeah, it can when we go through significant transformation. But I think there's something, it really comes down to that core of what we are all the time. Terry, you had your hand up. Hi, Terry.
Hey, how you doing? So I have a little confusion of like, well, one thing, what's coming up for me is like a fingerprint, like this communication energy identity is like a fingerprint or like DNA. So I don't believe that it can change over time. The expression can change. The way it comes through us, it can change. But the identity, I think, is imprinted. I mean, this is just a question. This is my understanding. And the other question is about ego and this kind of communication identity, like how to discern when we're coming from this vision of ourselves that is in alignment versus our vision of ourselves and how we present ourselves in the world. Do you understand the difference with, okay. Okay,
And
so
I
that's,
do understand the difference. What is the question?
yeah, so how to discern, am I in alignment with my ego, communication, identity? Am I showing up as the truth of who I am, or have I just gotten tripped into thinking this is how I'm supposed to express myself in this situation?
Well, let me ask you that question. I'm curious how you would answer that. How do you think we can know, how do we know the difference between if we're really being who we really are, or if we're being how we think we're supposed to be? How do we know?
So then it would get back to the senses. So like you said, one of the things you said is the communication energy we cannot pick up from the senses, but I think we can pick up through the body if we're not being authentically connected to that part of us that's expressing as us. Does that make sense? Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, yeah. So then it became, oh wait, but I do need my senses to pick this up. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely with everything you said.
Okay, good.
The imprinting, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that.
Okay.
I used to be very and say, this is, this is who you are. I had other people who sort of challenged that, and I say, hey, if you
whatever, okay.
If you want to, if it feels like it can change, and some people painted some stories, that made sense to me. So I think that goes in the category of there's not a right or wrong answer to that.
Gotcha. Words are so hard sometimes, and I want to acknowledge you for trying to play with them so much so that they point us in the direction of wherever we're going here. So thank you, Marnie, for being so playful with words. And
well, and the other thing is that this whole topic, as everything in our abundance, really is about you creating your own philosophy. That is so important. It's about you finding, Ganel finding heartstrings is how we interpret communication energy.
Right,
and that landing on that is so much more helpful than me saying intuition is how you pick up communication energy.
Got it.
No. So it's creating framework, and you all, just as you are for the principles and for everything, you're creating your own art abundance philosophy. And this is a big part of that, for sure.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if anybody else has a thought about Terry's question, how do we know? How do we know? She said she can, you do pick up some things on the senses for sure. I think we all could have different answers to that. If anyone else has a thought, feel free to put it in the chat. I tend to think, again, when we know that, this is who I really am, when we know what that is, it's easier to know when we're not it. And so some people, I think, feel really aware of, okay, I'm in it. I am really, really in alignment with who I am. And other people may be more attuned to, I am not, something isn't quite, quite right here. I think that's different for everybody. And I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. I think the curiosity and the exploration is exploring, well, how do we? It's asking that question of ourselves. How do we ascertain the difference of, how do we see which one is really at work? I love what Amy just said. Amy just put in the chat, if it takes too much energy to maintain your communication energy, maybe you're not aligned. There's something about trying. Yeah, if we're trying too hard, that is exhausting because it's a lot easier to be who we really are than who we're not. Anybody else just have these are great things over here in the chat, so feel free feel free to add anything else. Let's just hear from one other person. Anything else that you're aware of or that has come up as a result of this? Kelly.
I keep thinking that it's so situational. So when I'm in this group of people, I feel connected in a different way than when I'm with my husband and his engineering friends, because their wavelength is for communication is very different than mine. And I rarely feel like I can even contribute something in their conversation. If they came into this group of people, they would be, I think, the same way. Like, I don't even know what to say or how to communicate, how to even contribute to this conversation. So I just keep thinking about the different situations I'm in and how I do have to pull back or open up. And that, so it's changing depending on the group I'm with and the topic that's being discussed, what's being communicated about.
And I would encourage a little bit of play around what is the thing that doesn't change.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so yes, because that's the difference between the identity and communication energy.
Got it. Okay.
Communication energy is going to change all the time. What's the one thing that's not going to change? Unless we're really, trying to, do something different, or if we're actively, if something is either consciously or unconsciously keeping us from showing up fully. What's the one part? It's like here's our identity, and that's always there. Terry said the thumbprint, the DNA.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the energy changes all the time. Does that help?
It does. I'm so glad you called on me, because what I said and then what you said now, it's much more clear.
Yep, those are the differences. Communication energy is always happening. It's always different. Well, not always, but it's changing. We adapt, we change, we show up in different ways. What we're looking at with this identity is what is always the same. If we're being alignment, when we are really ourselves.
Okay.
Awesome. These are great comments over here in the chat, for sure. Yeah, this is great. One more person. You can raise your hand in the chat box. Let's see. Karen, you have your hand raised, but I don't know if that was from before or now.
It's for now. No.
Okay.
I was just thinking about the vulnerability of your communication energy, your personal communications energy, because it does make you very vulnerable. And that's something that you have to accept, that, and not be afraid that that's your true communications energy. And when you're communicating with other people, as just, as your person, your communication personality, that does make you very vulnerable, because you have to show the real you every time. And that's just the way it is. So you just have to be prepared for that. Yeah, and I think that, I actually don't tend to not really overthink this. I am who I am, and I just be. I don't tend to think about thumbprints and things like that, but, but I'm old, so, I've thought about it for a long time.
When we're the other piece about this, just why think about this? Why play with this? Obviously, it's for our own self-awareness, our own gratification and delight at showing up. It also creates a compassion, that in other people, just as has been mentioned, as we have that essence of what we always are, but we're changing, so does everybody else. And it's, I love hearing from our Abundance alums who kind of bring communication energy into their vocabulary of just human interaction, and can say, even outside of a coaching context, I see that I have kind of a little bit of tension with this colleague. Our communication energies are very different, and we're both trying to adapt. And I see sometimes that leads us to overcompensate. You know, it's a framework that allows, I think, can allow a very compassionate understanding of human nature. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually play a little bit, and we're going to just, again, this isn't like think of this as just a laboratory. We're just having fun with exploring communication energy, exploring how we experience one another in a place that is without words. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take turns and just sort of talk to each one of you. And I'm going to be controlling, hopefully my internet connection will cooperate. I'm going to be controlling and kind of going through, we're going to have a regular conversation, and then at some point I'm going to turn off your sound so that if you're on video, we're just going to be seeing you and your body. And then at some point I'm going to turn off your video, so all we're hearing is your voice. And what I invite everyone else to do is to just really pay attention to what you notice about experiencing the communication energy of this person. I would suggest doing this without words. Keep it in the doodle sketch realm, just as we did the other ones. So earlier you made sketches of people in your life and their communication energy, and we're going to now do that with each other. However, if words come through, you can feel free to add them. My suggestion for a structure, but you don't have to do this, my suggestion for a structure is to make a little grid where each person has 3 boxes. And you might want to just label them, you know, where you could say, okay, here's Ganelle. And we're going to have in Ganelle's, we'll have 3 boxes with 3 sketches. One will be voice and body, one will be audio only, one will be visual only. And you'll make 3 sketches that capture your experience of Ganelle's communication energy. You also might prefer just creating one little image or doodle or sketch of Ganelle and just allowing it to evolve as we move through audio only, visual only. So you can also feel free to do that. Does that make sense? So you can do your own structure. You don't have to do this the way that I said. I've had other people who've done it in different ways, and that's totally fine. So any questions about the process? So just to, it is a little unnerving because you're, in the spotlight being asked, questions. Obviously, this is kind of a manufactured setting, but just try to relax and have fun. We're all just playing. We're playing. And really the most important part of this is actually when you're not in the hot seat. Really the most important part is seeing what it's like to concentrate on picking up communication energy, translating it through visual or through words. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and I will start with Ganelle. So everybody just take a second and make sure, I need myself to make sure that we have our supplies available. I need to be a good student. All right, any questions about format, or just, let's just move along. All right, so I'm going to start with Ganelle. Hey, Ganelle.
Am I supposed to be unmuted?
Yeah, you're perfect.
Okay.
You're supposed to be unmuted. That sounds great. And I should be able to both mute you and I think that'll work. Hold on, we're in a little bit different configuration. Let me just see if that's going to work. Give me one little troubleshooting moment. So Ganelle, I just took your video away and have asked you to come back on video, it should be asking you to do that. Great. Okay, since that one,
Yeah.
I need a little bit of help unmuting and unmuting, but I think we're good. So let's go for it. Okay, so Ganelle, why don't you share a little bit about Art Abundance and just what Art Abundance has brought to you, what it means to you, anything you want to share about your abundance journey.
My Art Abundance journey. Oh, wow. I feel so lucky to have fallen into Art Abundance right at a time when I needed a creative medium to weave together the parts of ecology and personal transformation and embodiment work that I was doing. So when I did ACT, it was just what I needed. A sense of community, and it's a sense of connection with a friend-tour, as well as a whole variety of good people, mostly good women who have woven in and out of my life. They can be very ephemeral connections, but that doesn't mean that they're not still strong and solid connections in this Art Abundance community.
Awesome. Awesome. So during that process, you may or may have not been aware, I was moving you on and off mute, on and off video. Let me just check in with other people. Did it come through that way to you where you saw her? Yes. All right. What I would like, now you have one sketch that evolved, or perhaps 3 sketches. Just take a moment now and see if any words come to mind for Ganelle's communication energy in what you just experienced. Any words, maybe 1 or 2, and let's see. I think what I'm going to do is find a way, I think what I'll do so that we can focus on our time on the actual live time, if you can, I'm going to find a way, I'm going to figure out a way to share this later, because I think if we start typing those words, we'll miss out on the next person. So I would ask you to take notes in a way that's clear, so that, because I will be asking you if you would be willing to participate, I'll be asking you to submit this information for me. I'll figure out a good format for that. But do just make sure that you have indicated Ganelle, and then your sketch or sketches, and then any words that come to mind. Okay? All right. So now, new line, new box, new area. And we're going to do someone else. Thank you, Ganelle, for going first. I so appreciate it. We're going to go with Donna next. Hi, Donna.
Unmute. Okay.
Let me make sure I can unmute you. I sure can.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. Donna, I'm looking in your background. You've got that really cool painting. Is it a painting of the cacti behind you?
Yeah, it's a poster.
It's a poster. Tell me about what, anything about that poster, where you got it, what it means to you, anything.
Well, of course it's the colors. You can see the colors in this room. I love color. Although this room is pretty bright compared to others. But anyways, yeah, the poster, my daughter lives in Phoenix. I used to live in Las Vegas, so there's something about the desert, even though I don't always like hot weather, but there's something about it. So that poster was just like, it had to come home with me. So, yeah.
What do you love about the desert? Or what is it about the desert that you?
Well, because otherwise I love Washington State, and I'm in upstate New York right now. So I love the trees, I love the green. People that try to put the green there, that's it feels kind of wrong. So anyways, I like the simplicity of the desert. There's just this beauty without it. I don't know, upstate New York kind of shouts at you. You know, there's the flowers and the green and the white snow and the lakes, and you can't miss it. But the desert takes a little bit of a deepness and to appreciate it. So I do like that.
When was the last time that you spent time in the desert?
I was there last August when my grandson was born. So once we can travel again, I'll be heading back out. My sister's still in Las Vegas, and my daughter in Phoenix, and my son is in Texas. So, you know, that kind of out west is just calling me again. So it might be time. Well, at least to visit, but possibly even to move. So we'll see. We'll see what calls me, you know, trying to listen to that intuition. Yes. Place is so important. I don't think I could just live anywhere. I like to visit, but I can't imagine, I don't know. A place is kind of like that communication energy for me. I gotta like feel it. So I know like Las Vegas, I don't feel that city. I like the desert, but I don't feel my energy is not there. It's nice to visit and leave.
Awesome. Thank you. Just take a moment for Donna. Donna, I've asked you to start your video again. Perfect. Any words or other things that come to mind? And it's okay if the words don't. This is just, you know, just move with this. We're obviously moving quickly. Just have fun. There's no right or wrong way. All right, we're gonna do Kelly next. Hey, Kelly. You may need to unmute yet. Let me just make sure I can now mute and unmute.
Okay.
And awesome. Oh, terrific. All right, so I'm looking in your environment as well, and I see that nice camera behind you. Tell me about the camera. What does the camera mean to you? Is that your camera?
It is. It was a gift from my husband for Christmas, a surprise gift. I didn't ask for it, but it was a nice gift. And because he knows I love taking pictures, taking photographs, and then this one also takes video. So it's a really fancy, like high intensity video camera, and I'm starting a YouTube channel, so that's why it's there. And man, the first time I tried to do a video on there, I realized how uncomfortable I felt communicating with the camera because there's nobody behind there. So like I'm sweating right now just thinking about that moment where I'm like, oh, I don't have this. I don't feel comfortable with this. Now I've got to really work hard. Hear even how to use the video feature at first. So it's like a love-hate relationship with this wonderful new gift.
Wow. We only heard some of that story, but I hear you about the love-hate relationship with it. What is your YouTube channel going to be about?
It's about my Go Interactive training. So helping other people who teach anything, teach other adults anything, how to use interactive strategies to teach those people. So Art Abundance fits well into what I love to do, is to teach using interaction and engagement. So that when you're teaching, you can connect with your learners more, they can learn more. It's very similar to the principles in Art Abundance, and that's one of the things that drew me to Art Abundance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you were mentioning, you know, your straight as an arrow engineer husband. But that's kind of awesome that the camera came from him. Yes.
Yes, and he actually is helping me learn how to use it, because he's more of a technical person. Like, oh, well, let's just see, you know, try these 3 things out, see which one works better. He's very analytical, where I just get overwhelmed. Like, is it this button? Is it this button? Is it this button? There's too many settings. And he's like, let's just start with one thing.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, everybody, just jot down a few words or anything that you want to capture. And just so you know, I think what I will do in terms of sharing the information is I will have, I'll just ask you to send me, I'll give you a format and ask you to just send me each person's name and any words that you came up with. And then that way I can give each of you the words that were created. And then if you have pictures that you want to share, you can do that on the forum. That's what I'm thinking I'll do to make the most of our time. Zara, let's have you go next. Let me check your muting and unmuting.
You got me?
Yeah, I sure do. I sure do. Oh my gosh, that blue jacket is so gorgeous and so cozy. Oh my goodness. Is blue your color, or what would you say is your color?
Yeah, blue is mostly what I wear now. It's my peace. It's my comfort. It's my it's very much, it's funny, when I was small, my mom dressed me in blues and tans, and then when I went to art school, I exploded into all colors, and I kind of rejected the tans and the blues because that was my mom's kind of like you know, framing of me. But now it's kind of like, actually it's been since my mom passed 5 years ago. That's very funny. I have totally embraced the blue to be my yeah, it's
What's another color that means something to you? Either a color that you don't like or another one that you do, another color with some meaning.
just the part that keeps me alive, I guess. You know, the pink is the curiosity. It's the wanting to see what's over the next horizon, to see what's under that bush, to kind of peel open and see what's you know, the invitation to peel open and see into another person, and for them to see me, I guess. It's so, yeah, so pink has become it was a love-hate relationship, but now pink is that that passion and that permission to be me, to be more me and more authentic, and sort of be at peace at more of who I am, instead of instead of just instead of being who I'm supposed to be and who I'm, all that shoulds and being not shoulding on myself anymore. It's like, I guess it is the blue and the pink gets me to be the held and loved, and be able to project that into other people, and create that out there, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So any words that you want to capture? And just to clarity, remember we're going through 3 different views. We have audio and visual, and then we're intentionally turning off the sound so that you're picking up communication energy. When she's muted, it's intentional. So you're picking up on communication energy just by her body, just by the visual. So just clarifying that. And then we're picking it up only by audio and not by visual. All right, so any words that you want to add for Zara? All right, how are we doing? Are we having fun? Cool. Okay, so we're going to go on now to Karen K. And let's see, I'm going to go, here's Karen. And let me just make sure that I can mute and unmute you. Perfect. All right, Karen. K3, sometimes we call you K3. Why?
Because there's more than one Karen here. So I just changed it so it would be less confusing. I also, when I was had a corporate job, there were questions about my initials, which are KKK. I didn't really like that, so I used K3 for quite a long time through my professional career. And so a lot of people know me as that, which is kind of fun because I've never had a nickname. Karen doesn't lend itself to nicknames,
So K3, I think of you as K3. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so this is sort of a weird question, but I know you'll go with it. When you think of the number 3, what pops into your mind?
A family. And let's see, what else? I think 3 is a good number. Trio. And me, someone else, and ice cream.
What else would you like to have as a trio?
Three. I don't have a lot to say about 3, unfortunately.
You did great. You said plenty. You said plenty about 3. Even though we didn't hear it, we knew it. That was kind of awesome. All right, so
my video went off.
Yes, your video went off, and so now we're just listening.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
Try to just listen, and
okay.
Even though K3's awesome little avatars there, try to just listen. But tell us about that Super K. Tell us about her.
Well, that is, well, I have to confess that it is photoshopped. It's just something that I used on days when I didn't feel like I had a superpower. So I invented one. And she's, this particular thing is also on an easel that stands up. So on those days when I need a superpower, there she is. And it's me. And that's what I try to give my clients also, is that feeling of their own superpowers. And yeah, but I did confess already, right, that it is photoshopped.
You did. The confession.
So that's what it is. I also have a sheriff's badge that I used to wear when I was an outbound dock supervisor, because I felt like I needed a little authority. It was mostly working with men throwing sacks into trucks. And so I would wear that badge, but I would only make cardiac arrests, and just was fun, a fun thing.
Oh,
Still have that badge.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, everyone, few words, if you like, that come to mind with Karen's communication energy in this little slot, little pocket of time. All right, we're gonna go with Wendy C now. Hey, Wendy.
Okay, hello.
Hi. All right, so it's Monday. So do you, are you a morning person or a night person? How would you describe yourself in terms of when you're most comfortable in the time of day?
Well, I love the looks of the morning, but I am not a morning person. I definitely get started about 4 in the afternoon and go late at night. Most of my creativity is once the house is silent. And so the mornings around here are noisy. And so I prefer the quiet and whatever I add to it. So whether I'm playing soft music or whatever. I enjoy creating, and so I do.
You had mentioned that you like to sometimes put on some music, maybe to add something to the quiet or stillness. So what kinds of music do you like to add to the stillness, especially when you're creating?
And it works well for me because I can, because I don't concentrate on the words. I like to be able to concentrate on what I'm concentrating on. And if I'm playing music whose words I know or I only know slightly, it draws my attention away. So, anyway, but yeah, my whole life, I was a freelance graphic designer. I usually played light classical in the background or just something that was just soft. And anyway, so.
Awesome.
I guess I'm
Thank you.
still talking.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. You are awesome. All right, anybody, just everyone grab a couple of words about Wendy, write them down. We are obviously going to go over our time a little bit. Is there anybody who has to leave? I want to make sure that if you would like to go, that you can. We'll go with everyone, but if you have to leave and you won't be able to be in the spotlight, let me know. Raise your hand if you need. Probably raise your hand or stick it in the chat. Just say, I really need to leave at whatever time. You had too many interesting things to say. But I take responsibility for not managing time. All right, so we're gonna go with, let's see. Let's go with, make a note, we're gonna go with, Carol, you said you would probably leave now. Do you want to have a moment in the spotlight, or are you ready to go on?
Yeah, I need to move along, so
Okay.
that's
Thank
fine.
you.
I've done it before. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. All right, so I'm actually going to go with Rothko next. And let me make sure I can mute you and unmute you. Yes, I can.
Cool.
There you go. Okay, so tell me a little bit about, I love that we're fellow Texans, or that we live in Texas. How long have you been in the Austin area? How long have you lived there?
I've been in Austin since about 2004. I'm from Minnesota. I will always be a Midwesterner, no matter where I end up living. It's just kind of in you, I think. When I was about 25, I moved to Boston, Cambridge actually, and lived there for about 8 years. Got married during that time, and my husband and I thought that, you know, at some point it would be nice to buy a house. You know, grown-ups do that in their 30s and whatnot. And, you know, but the Cambridge real estate is insane. Liberal and artsy and whatnot, and it's the excuse me, nature is beautiful here. You know, when I thought about Texas, I thought about like tumbleweeds and desert, and Central Texas is gorgeous. It's full of trees and water and rivers and hills. The hills here are unbelievable, and I was so amazed. I was like, this is gorgeous here, and I just had no idea. So yeah, we decided to come down here, and we put all our stuff in one of those portable shipping containers, and then we took a road trip down ourselves while our stuff was being transported. And so we went through the Appalachians down, and it was just a gorgeous drive, and it was fun. And yeah, we actually arrived in Austin on my birthday that year, in late October. That was 04, and I guess that means we've been here over 15 years at this point. So yeah, I still am cranky about, I'm very picky about the difference between I'm from versus I live in. I'm from Minnesota. I live in Austin. That's just, I miss Minnesota a great deal, really a lot. And the land there is just kind of in my blood. I want to be dispersed in Lake Superior after death. Lake Superior has my soul. It has since I was 8.
Yeah, notice I was quick to say that we're not Texans, that we live in Texas. So, understood. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Everyone just take a couple of notes. Any words you want to put into words? All right, let's do the other Wendy. So write down, so when you give me your words, this is going to be Wendy F, like fun. So Wendy F for fun. Hi.
Hi.
Hey. So yeah, I love that you were talking about how the colors showed up when you did your communication energy. That was really, really cool.
Yeah, I really, I thought that was really fun. And it was interesting, actually, when I look at it, I'm like, wow, auras. It's like, it's actually kind of looks like auras coming around everyone, So that has, I like the meaning of it there too, where my sister actually, she sees, on occasion, she'll see auras. And her name is Laura. So like, Laura sees auras. I think that's pretty neat.
Awesome. That's awesome. How's this exercise? What's your experience of capturing communication energy in these different ways?
I love, I've been doing this whole time. I've been continuing to use the colors. And as an artist, I have, and the greens I'm starting to think are more of a calming, more of a grounded kind of feeling that I get from people. And I use the purple for the more intuitive kind of feeling that I get from people. Since purple to me, it's just a very kind of intuitive type color. It just makes me think of, oh, for crying out loud, the amethyst, and the pinks, pink colors make me think of warm, loving feelings that people might give me. And then I'll use the red and the orange for that more vibrant, energetic feeling that I might get from some people who might be more extroverted, and just give off all this crazy, wonderful energy. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. I love that you kept using the colors. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just write some words or colors for Wendy. Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you.
All right, Eileen. Hi. So I'm assuming you're really outside and not just with the virtual background. Is that true? Oh, I haven't unmuted you yet. Hold on. Oh, Eileen, I need you to unmute first.
Okay. Is that, can you?
Yes, now I can.
think
Ooh,
I
you have
unmuted.
pretty chimes.
Yeah, I think I unmuted too soon because it muted me back, but you can hear me now.
And I hear your chimes. What are
Yeah.
they?
There's some really cool chimes. They're a particular brand I really like because the pipes are coated, so they have a mellower sound to it. And it's made by a company, I have gotten them at the Renaissance Festival here in Texas, but it's made by a company in Austin. And they specifically tune them to different scales. I think the two that I have, one of them is the Gypsy scale and the other one is Japanese. So it's according to
And tell us about where you are right now. Are you at home or are you somewhere else?
so I was able to get a pool and a creek for the price of what it would have been for, I don't know, a tiny little postage stamp yard in closer into Houston. So at times I hesitate about the drive, but I mostly don't mind it because I love coming home to this, to my country that's still in the city, but it's my country.
I think we're all just enjoying your chimes for a moment.
Yeah, those are the main ones. I have some other ones too. I have some little kind of like the little Tibetan bells hanging, and then I have some that are the little copper bells, and then some that are bamboo, and I have probably about a dozen all around. But there's some that are shells. I didn't make them, but one of these days, because I live relatively close to the beach, to the Gulf, Galveston, and one day I think I'll make a chime set myself. But in the meantime, I have all these that I've acquired and I just really, really love.
Awesome. Fantastic. I put a thing to ask you to start the video.
Oh, okay.
Everyone put some words for Eileen. All right, and Bria, let's go with you next.
Okay.
Okay. Hey.
Hello.
So yeah, every time I see you, I just get so happy because we actually, I mean, we did a retreat together years and years and years ago. Oh my gosh, what are some of your memories from that? What do you remember?
I'm actually staring at many of my memories. I've got a frame where you had us decorate a frame and put our dream in it, and I still have that frame up on my altar. And one of the gifts that the other participant gave me, which is a little wind chime with some bells, is up. And the magnet, it says, be communal, be catalyzed, and lots of other good stuff for the Creative Mana Festival is also hanging up. So I keep things displayed from that wonderful time together, and I think back on it quite often.
So cool. In that frame, what do you see when you look at the what's the dream that's in the frame there?
I am.
Hmm.
And books are still the best.
Books are still the best. Favorite book or a favorite book?
Sure. I'm actually rereading my favorite book right now. It's a young adult novel by Mildred Lee called The People Therein, and it takes place in 1910 North Carolina. And it's one of those things that I found it on the library bookshelf. I've never met anyone who's read it. It's my favorite book. It's a young adult book. I keep going back to it. And it's just one of the most beautiful love stories and like community case studies that I've ever seen about a small Appalachian community in the mountains. And I just love it so much.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Embrya.
Yeah.
All right, couple of words for Embrya. All right. Let's go with Melina next. Let me make sure I can mute and unmute you. I can, which is awesome. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Hi, Melina.
Hi, Marnie.
Hi. Wow,
Hi.
it makes me very, very happy to see you. I want to know, I could ask you a million things. I want to know what kind of art you've been making lately. What kind of art have you been playing with?
That's a good question. I guess I've been playing mostly with the art of cooking. So I have my daughters here and my partner. And I've noticed that the more I cook a lot of the same things over and over again, but the more that I cook them, the better that they get. So I'll cook rice, and I don't know if rice can be better, but I just get more. I'm very interested in making things as well as I can possibly make them. So I guess one thing I've been experimenting with is oatmeal cookies. And we ran out of, I couldn't get eggs for like a couple of weeks. So I'm very curious to see what next steps in terms of what the rest of the things that are going to go on my altar are going to be. And I'm not too worried about it. I'm just going to let it happen when it happens. I'm trying not to rush anything at the moment. And that actually is sort of a new thing for me, not to rush, but it's necessary right now. And that was the end.
Awesome. All right, capture a few words about Melina. And I think we have 4 more people. I just want to check and make sure I haven't forgotten anybody. Or no, 5. I think we have Jan, Sandy, Caroline, the other Karen, and Terry. Just making sure I haven't forgotten anybody. Terry, let's go with you next. Hi, Terry. I'm going to make sure I can mute and unmute. Yep, we got it. Awesome.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hi. How has this exercise been for you? What have you been noticing?
Well, I'm noticing a little something different in each person, which I was kind of surprised. And I'm noticing that it probably doesn't matter if the video is on or off. And I thought that was interesting. It's more about the audio, I think, for me, and that's maybe just me. I get more insight, I guess, from the voice. So anyway, it's been fascinating. I just want to tell you, I am almost out of battery. I just left to get a
You might be waiting for me to ask another question is my guess. Yes. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell. Awesome. All right. So I did hear you say you were almost out of battery. So that's cool. Let's go with color for you too. I'm again drawn to your blue shirt. What is your color these days? Have you always had a favorite color, or does it sort of shift? What's color for you?
going to an event where people said, the woman who was leading said, if it makes you smile, then definitely wear that. So it could be, it would look like all clownish even, but it made me smile. That's what I would wear. So I think this color blue that I'm wearing today makes me smile. So it had that kind of energy in it. Yeah.
What's something else that makes you smile today?
Oh my goodness. Well, I live in a beautiful part of the world and northwest, and it makes me smile just looking out the window or just going for a walk. We walk every day with our dog and have a lot of good conversations. Makes me smile too. Think about my husband making me laugh every day. That alone makes me smile. He raised his hand and asked if he could have a new partner in this quarantine, as though somebody's going to answer him. It's just the two of us here. So that makes me laugh. So anyway, I'm a lot of things. This the number 23 keeps coming up, and that makes me smile. Yeah. All right. Am I still?
Yeah, we're coming down. You can be.
Yeah, I feel like I'm really at the end of the energy on every level, it seems. You know, my battery is literally about to, yeah, it is the weirdest thing. Like, I thought we were ending at 11:30, and I don't know what was going on there. I don't know why I didn't get the memo or something. I'm like, whoa.
No, we were that's why it said I was running over. And so
yeah, and I definitely don't want to miss anything, but I have the 12 o'clock and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then all these calls are coming in right now. And so I'm really feeling this distracted, and I'm really sorry about that too. You know, like, oh my God, I so want to be present for this. And
well,
all of a sudden it's all.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were great. It's perfect.
That's where I was.
Everyone add any words for Terry. You guys have been really, really great. And Terry, you can feel free to run off to get ready for your next call.
Everybody else, you know what I mean? Especially those who waited for me.
I know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I might just.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have a thought. I'm wondering, and this might be good because I know people understandably got off as they should have. I'm wondering about maybe we ought to, we can continue to play with this. Maybe we start half an hour earlier next week and we just have to continue to play. We can continue to play now, but then anybody that didn't have an opportunity, and then there are people who can attend during the days, they can only attend at night, but we could just meet half an hour earlier next week to keep playing. Wondering, and I'm also fine to continue going here. I'm just wanting to offer anybody's time. Anybody have a thought on that? Feel free to unmute yourself. Okay.
Marnie?
Yeah.
Caroline here. Next week is fine. I think that's actually a really good idea. And but if we want to continue today, that's fine too for me, but I don't have to do it since I have done it before.
Right. All of our new people have done it today.
Oh, okay.
So that's good. Is there anybody who, I'm thinking that if we close now, that would be awesome. And then we can just hop in and we'll meet earlier next week. And that will allow anybody who wasn't able to be on either end of this today to jump in. How does that sound to everybody? If there's anybody who would really like to stay on and have your time for us to play with your energy, feel free to just say so and we will do that in the chat box. I'm grateful I'm grateful for all of you that we had a chance to play here. I'm going to post some follow-up, just some inquiries. And then I know it's interesting to see what are the words in this tiny little pocket. What are the words that have come forward? And so I'll send out a note shortly inviting you to share those words. And then we'll pick up with a more live time next week. Just to bring us to a close right now, anybody willing to share a takeaway, something that you noticed or something that maybe is a little different about your sense of communication energy now as opposed to at the beginning of our call? Anyone aware of something new or something different that you experienced? Sarah.
I guess it's I was finding I was hearing more in just the audio. I think I get distracted a lot by what I'm seeing. I mean, I see people's faces, but I think I see way too much out here. So when I just hear the voices, I seem to be picking up more. I thought that was interesting. I don't know what it means, but I just thought that was interesting.
Awesome. Sandy, you were raising your hand. What are you aware of?
Two things. One is just happened to be funny. My daughter went to the office supply store to get me some notebooks because I file by notebook. And she had called me and I told her to just get one of each color. And so I have a stack of notebooks here. So I have black, blue, pink, red, green, you know, and it's just funny to see her come in with that stack of notebooks. One of the things that really had me thinking during this was, the difference between losing sight or losing hearing. And I've had students, I teach at the college, and I've had students who've had, both directions. I've had students in the classroom with translators. I've had students, with walking canes, dogs, all kinds of stuff. And I decided that if I had to lose a sight, I don't want to lose my sight, and that I want to be able to see. And I would, look to adjust to the hearing, and that. So it was just interesting to have that awareness to go through those different stages. So yeah, I came to just get some Marnie and Artella energy.
Artella has an energy that's all of us. That's what I love. It's not just me, it's all of us together. All right, so I'll post some follow-ups. This week's art assignment's really fun. It's easy, it's playful. This is a fun topic we can continue to discuss and have a little bit of live experimentation half an hour before class next week, which I think is great. Next week, we're going to also go right into art assignment training. So it'll be a really fun way to jump into that. Thank you guys for going with the flow with time, and big blessings to all of you, and I'll see you on the forum. Bye. There we are. I was trying to unmute everybody. Bye. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.